Good morning, family. Happy Wednesday to all. Today's scripture message, I read the Bible app message. Let me see if I can pull that up, which is 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. No temptation has overtaken you as except such is common to man. And so I read that entire passage. And when I saw that passage, it is when Paul wrote the letter to the people in the city of Corinth, telling them about Old Testament examples. So the scripture that stuck out for me personally was verse 6, where he says, "And these things that happened are examples for us. These examples should stop us from wanting evil things like those people did." And he was describing, and I read that from the easy to read version. He was describing how in Moses' time, there were people that were wandering when they were wandering for 40 years in the wilderness. There were people that doubted God, people that gave into idolatry, people that gave into sexual immorality. And he said, these people's lives and mistakes were examples so that we don't fall. So as I examined myself and I thought about myself, I came up with following examples as the title for this one, because the Bible is a book of testimonies, which are basically examples of how people, relied on God and were successful, and how people didn't rely on God and were not successful. So the thinking about myself personally and things that I've gone through in the past, I got kind of emotional thinking about, past relationships and bad examples. So the message that hit home with this chapter 6 for me is following examples can help us through the exams of life, especially if the example was from a test that we failed in our past. So think about how far God has brought you. Think about tests that came upon you that you didn't pass in the past. Think about things that you failed. God will give you another chance to pass that exam. So think about examples of people that didn't pass. Think about times that you didn't pass, and use that, Felicia, to move forward and pass the next exam. Because there's going to be exams, there's going to be tests, and if we all remain faithful, we'll get through the exams of life. I love y'all. Bye.